Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the CnD podcast, where this is episode 22, and as always, I am joined with Danny.
Hello.
Now, Danny, as always in these mystery slash crime podcasts that we do, I have a question for you.
All right.
This week's question is, what do you know about DB Cooper?
Ooh. All right. So, I know that he jumped out of a plane.
Yeah, okay.
No, sorry. I know he robbed a bank, and then
Yep.
he got in a. Did he? I can't remember how he got the plane now. But he got on a plane, and then he jumped out the
Uh-huh.
back. And he got away. I think.
Okay.
Yeah. That's that's it.
Well, there is a little bit of things there that isn't exactly correct.
Okay.
So, everyone, including you, sit back, relax, while I tell you the story of DB Cooper. Now I'm going to take you back to November 24th, 1971. This is the day before Thanksgiving, if I'm not correct.
Okay.
A man using the alias Dan Cooper purchased a one-way ticket from Portland, Oregon to Seattle, Washington on Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 305. It's a Boeing 727-100.
Okay.
He was described as a middle-aged man in his 40s, about 5'10" to 6 feet tall, wearing a dark suit, brown tie, white shirt, and a black raincoat. He carried a briefcase and a paper bag. Now, everything seemingly on the flight was fine. You know, the plane got up to altitude. Everything was going fine.
Okay.
About 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, so I don't know what that is in UK time, but Flight 305 took off from Portland with, I think it was like 36 passengers, 6 crew members, something like that.
Oh, okay.
And shortly after takeoff, he handed a note to the flight attendant, who is known as Florence Schaffner. At first, she kind of thought it was just like someone hitting on her or whatever.
Right.
Just like giving her like a phone number or saying like that, and she put it in her pocket without reading
Back in the
it,
school
as
days.
you would.
Yeah.
What would you mean?
Do you like me?
Yeah,
Yes or no?
yeah, tick the box, yes
Yeah.
or no. So she did what, she's a busy woman. She's catering for like what 30, like 42 people, I think, something like that. She's got. She's a busy woman. So she puts the note in her pocket, but Cooper saw this, and he leaned in towards her, and he just kind of said, "Now this is a quote from her that she told the investigators after. She said, and I quote, 'Miss, you better have a look at that note. I have a bomb.'"
Right.
So Schaffner opened the note, which stated that Cooper had a bomb in his briefcase. He was hijacking the plane. She then said that he had opened the briefcase briefly, showing her like red cylinders, wires attached, stuff that kind of looks like a bomb, basically, something like that. And he demanded $200,000 in cash, so equivalent to this day's, money is about $1.4 million today.
Wow.
So a relatively large amount for that time, back in 1971. He then wanted 4 parachutes. So we wanted 2 primary parachutes and 2 reserve parachutes, in case stuff went south, I guess. And a fuel truck standing by in Seattle for refueling.
Okay.
Now, his behavior was, she noted that his behavior was calm, and he was very polite. Throughout the hijacking, Cooper remained, notably calm and kind of respectful. He ordered bourbon and soda. He paid for his drink. I think he even offered to. Yeah, he paid for a drink. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, but he was going to get the money back anyway. Let's be honest. And he even offered apparently to request meals for the flight crew during the stop in Seattle.
Okay.
He seemed to kind of have a recollection or familiarity with like local terrain. Apparently he made remarks to her like, "Oh, looks like Tacoma down there," as they're flying over the city. Apparently, he also accurately mentioned that McCord Air Force Base was approximately a 20-minute drive from Seattle Tacoma Airport. Although, from what I can see, I don't really know how true that is. I found this bit of information on Wikipedia. So again, one of those things. It could be something that could be said, or he could have said it something differently.
It sounds like he's a pilot or something. From that, really.
Yeah, I mean, we'll go into that in the theories
Especially
later
like,
on.
yeah, if you're in like terrain and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose. I think. Yeah, like I said, we'll go into the theories later on. But there is some suspicion that he was possibly Air Force or something.
Yeah.
So Schaffner informed the cockpit crew, how she does. You can't really have you know, a terrorist action without letting the captain know. Apparently the pilots relay the information and demands to air traffic control. And obviously FBI and whatnot got in touch. So apparently the plane circled for roughly 2 hours over the Puget Sound while the FBI arranged, Cooper's ransom money and parachutes. You know, as noted again, Cooper remained calm. He was drinking his bourbon, smoking cigarettes, chatting politely with flight attendants and stuff like that. Authorities collected the $200,000 in $20 bills, provided by, I think it was like a local bank. Yes, the FBI took like little photographs of the bills in hopes of tracking them later. They noted down the serial numbers and that sort of stuff, just to make sure that I think they were sequenced as well. I think I heard somewhere.
Yeah.
That like the ending was like 541, 542, 543, so it's easier for if any of them to come up to track it. Apparently, they had originally offered Cooper military issue parachutes, which I think I read somewhere they were more or less controllable than civilian ones. I think military ones were just very much get to the ground, whereas civilian ones you could actually maneuver them with the things.
Yeah.
So I think they were trying to kind of because we'll limit his escape because if obviously if they're the military issue ones, then he's only going to go down or follow the wind. He's not going to be able to like move. So I think they were trying to get him there, but he seemed to have knowledge of those as well. So fast forward, there was also like I said, go back a little bit. So the serial numbers were recorded. Like I said, the FBI recorded all the serial numbers from the 10,000 $20 bills. I'll come back to that bit in a minute, but so that was all fine. They had that ready, and they were getting it ready for 2 hours while it was in the air. So about 5:39 p.m. They landed on Seattle Tacoma International Airport. Cooper allowed all of the 36 passengers and one flight attendant to leave the aircraft. The ransom money and the parachutes were delivered to the plane. Cooper instructed that the crew fly to Mexico City at low altitude, about 10,000 feet, and slow speed at around 200 miles an hour. Which is relatively slow for an aircraft.
Yeah.
He also ordered that the rear exit stairway of the Boeing 727 remain unlocked. Now, obviously, if you're familiar with the case, you know why. Roughly 7:40 Pacific, the plane took off again from Seattle towards Mexico. The flight crew, consisting of pilot William Scott, co-pilot Bob Ranasachak, flight engineer Harold Anderson, and flight attendant Tina Mucklow, were confined to the cockpit as per Cooper's instructions. And then roughly about 8 p.m., Cooper sent Mucklow to the cockpit. He put on a parachute apparently and tied the money bag around his waist. That's what she kind of saw. Tina Mucklow. At roughly 8:13 p.m., a pressure bump was detected by the pilots. This was likely Cooper jumping from the rear stairwell. Not much is really seen after him. He vanished into the night over like a forest area in southwestern Michigan State, possibly near like a river apparently. And then the pilots landed the plane back in Reno, Nevada, about 10:15 p.m. As all they do, FBI stormed the aircraft, but he was gone. So that's like what happened. Now, before we go into the investigation, there was, like I said, you thought he robbed a bank. Effectively he did. But it was more.
I didn't realize he was on the plane the whole time. I thought he robbed a bank and then got on the plane. But
No.
yeah, wow. He's
It's
also
very
quite
much.
a nice criminal as well. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
He is, yeah.
I don't think. I mean, no one did. No one died, did they? Like,
No.
they were scared. I guess.
Well, we'll get into that in a minute if anyone died, but
Okay. So like, yeah, there was no like, he let everyone off. He was like, yeah, I don't know. He just seemed, he wasn't like, and like you say, he was calm or whatever. And I guess that probably helped the situation.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, some evidence that was left over.
Ooh.
Um,
This is on
for
the
the plane, yeah.
Okay.
So, actually, I'll go into the investigation first, and then we'll go over the evidence. I think it's probably going to be a better way of doing it.
Okay.
So obviously the FBI launched an investigation. It is still considered one of the largest manhunts in US history. It was codenamed NORJAC, so that standard for Northwestern Hijacking.
Alright.
The key findings in that obviously the plane's rear stairs, a model like the 727 was tested, I believe, confirming that he could actually have jumped safely from it. The FBI recorded the serial numbers of all ransom bills, the drop zone. So the search focused on a dense forest of Washington and Oregon, but no body or parachute or personal belongings were found. Now, the physical evidence was basically he left behind a black clip-on tie, a tie clip, and 8 filter-tipped Rayleigh cigarette butts. And despite, analysis and things like that, they couldn't lead to identification. There was also some fingerprints. Authorities collected, I think it was like 67 or 66 unidentified fingerprints to the aircraft. However, none matched records in existence back then because, again, 71, it was certainly DNA. Well, I think it was just on the forefront of coming into, like, policing. I don't think it was very much there yet.
No.
But while they were doing this, they were searching the grounds. FBI coordinating extensive aerial and ground searches in the suspect drop area. They covered Washington's rugged terrain. Washington is not flat at all. Like, it is very difficult terrain. But again, no trace of Cooper or any equipment, any of the 4 parachutes, any string or ropes or anything, any fabric from the parachutes. Because you think if you're landing in a forest, if a bad landing, it's going to get torn up. But no, none of his equipment was ever found. So I will go into the theories now. So this is why I wanted to wait and get the theories through. So the main kind of theories are, I think there's like 3 or 4 main theories. I've noted down 4 of them.
Okay.
So we'll go through all of them. So number 1 was a theory that he survived.
Yeah.
Some believe that he just survived the jump, evading authorities and just living really in secret. None of the bills have ever really entered circulation.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I read somewhere that like there were some bar bills that had been found up, but I couldn't really find more information on that.
I remember them. I remember some of the bills have been found. I can't remember if it was on a beach or something. They've been like washed up or something.
Yeah, we'll go into that in a second.
Yeah.
One of the tenor bar bill discovery is something that effectively, I think it was 1980. It was about 9 miles from where he was suspected of actually dropping.
Yeah.
It was found by like an 8-year-old Arkansas boy. I can't remember his name. I think it's I don't want to guess actually. I don't know what it is, but they were heavily damaged. Stuff like that. Serial numbers remain eligible. That's how obviously they found. It was about $5,000 to $6,000, I think. And some of the serial numbers matched those of the money given to him in 71. So these have been in the ground presumably for like 9 years. The weird thing is though, now this is kind of like an interesting thing. The rubber band, because I remember this, the rubber band was still around the notes.
Okay.
Like it hadn't kind of broken or withered away. So it was still like intact.
Yeah.
There are some theories about the presence at the bar. There's some theorize that Cooper could have planted the money after the hijacking. He could have survived, planted the money, and then hoped to return later.
Mm.
Obviously, he didn't. If that's what happened. Some say that he passed away, but the money was kind of put there by the river. It drifted downstream. 9 miles away from where he was suspected landing. Is that an easy distance from how far he was up? Yes, but I don't know if it could have. I mean, but the thing is, though, with it being in the river, the money should have like broken up, but they remained intact. So the bill and they didn't, have any like damage, like water damage on the bills, and especially the rubber band.
Right.
There was another theory that the money was planted by someone else, like a third party. Apparently, could have found the money and buried it to mislead investigators. But there is no evidence to support that, but it is a possibility.
Mm.
And the last one came from an FBI agent himself. Was floodwaters from the river carried the money to the Colombian River, which eventually deposited it at the bar. And apparently he started like flow patterns or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
That was one of the kind of theories. What was your thoughts on that theory?
It just sounds like you say. It sounds too good to be true. Like, but then like, why would they plant it there? Like,
I don't know. Like to mislead investigators.
mislead them to what? Like, were they getting too close to something else, and then we found it, so
Possibly.
now we have to change our tactics? But then this is 6, 7 years on.
Yeah, the 9 years.
9 years, sorry. Wow. So like by that point, the investigation is like they're not putting that many man hours into it. I can't imagine. You know what I mean? Like it'd
Yeah.
be like low key. They'd probably be like I don't know, a team of like 10 on it. Maybe. Um, yeah, it's sort of, I imagine it's one of those things where they're just like waiting for the money to come back into circulation. They're not actually investigating it.
Hmm.
By that point, so I don't know. I don't know why. If it was like a year or two on, you'd be like, "Oh, I've got some money, and that might
Yeah.
get them off my back if they're like actually catching on to something." But yeah, I don't know. And like you said about the rubber band, like you know, if that was out in the atmosphere and going downstream or something like that, yeah, like you said, it'd be broken. Like yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't know whether it's just the FBI doing it to like be like, hey, we're actually progressing. Like, remember this
Or you
case?
mean like keep the case open for like I
Yeah,
think they what
maybe
do
the
they call
case.
it?
Maybe it's going to be shut down,
What do they
and
call
they.
it? There's a word for it. The there's like a word for it. If it's getting to the close where they can't prosecute him, they'll open it because of the
Sorry, I
oh
can't
that
help
word's
you.
gonna annoy me.
Yeah, I can't help you there.
Oh, it's like a special word for when it's like running out of time to try them, or if they catch them. It's the oh, mate, my brain.
Sorry, you might have to Google it.
No,
Um,
I can do this. Hang on.
okay. Right, well, you can just spurt it out at some point. So yeah, I
No,
reckon they've almost planted the evidence as like a way for maybe even to get the media involved, like because you need like with cases like that, the media are a big help. It keeps people looking for the notes. It keeps people like remembering that it happened. Um, yeah. I feel like it's been planted there. Actually, I don't think he's done that or an
statute of
associate.
limitations.
Okay. So after a
Sorry.
certain time, no, that's fine. After a certain time, does it like they just have to
Yeah, so
pay
I
off?
don't know how long it is for armed robbery in the sky,
Yeah.
um, but there's a certain statute of limitations on how long it can be where you can be tried for a crime. I don't think 9 years seems too short though.
Yeah, but like I said, it might be because the case was being closed, or like you know, maybe it was just an effort to get more
Yeah,
people on it, or like so they don't lose their jobs or something. I don't know. Make it seem like they're doing something.
yeah, I
Because to have no
guess.
evidence for 9 years is a bit like, well, we kind of want to keep checking, kind of want to keep this case open. What's your next theory?
So, theory 2 was Cooper died in the jump. So, reportedly, the conditions were harsh, cold, it was stormy, strong winds, and the rugged terrain. Cooper was not wearing protective clothing or suitable footwear, using a suit. Um, some theorists believe that he landed in the woods and died, never to be found. Apparently, during the fall, because of the wind, that's another reason is maybe there's some money fell out the bag, but again, I don't hold much weight in that. And then this theory number 3 was the suspects. So, obviously, they've combed through thousands of suspects, over 1,000 suspects. Some of the most famous, however, are number 1, Richard Floyd McCoy. Now, I want to get your opinion on this because I think, in my opinion, I have one here that, for me, most likely fits the bill.
Yeah.
But as always, I want to get your opinion on it because it just seems too close to the original. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So, suspect numero uno is a gentleman by the name of Richard Floyd McCoy, a Vietnam veteran who hijacked a plane in 1972 in a similar manner, but was later caught. Apparently, he denied being DB Cooper. Now, the reason I think this one seems to be the most fitting is, like we mentioned at the start, he kind of knew the terrain from the sky.
Yeah.
He knew the difference between parachutes. He knew that the military parachute wasn't as capable at maneuverability than the civilian parachute. He was very polite. I often find that veterans of war are very polite. They have that kind of beaten into them and basic training. Respect and things like that.
Yeah, because the Vietnam War was around that time as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
70s. So maybe he's come back from the war and because I mean I don't know too much about the Vietnam War, but I remember the Americans weren't too happy with the outcome of it.
He was a helicopter pilot in the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
He had obviously parachuting skills, survival techniques.
So maybe he felt like he was owed that money. There's
Well, here's the interesting thing, though. In April 1972, it was about 5 months before, or sorry, after the hijacking, he actually hijacked a United Airlines Boeing 727 in a near identical manner. He boarded the flight.
Yeah.
It was heading from Colorado to Los Angeles. He used an unloaded grenade and a handwritten note to threaten the crew again. Not again. Sorry, that's me judging. Not again. Sorry, just want to point it out. Sorry, not again. He demanded, I think it was $500,000. So it was obviously twice what Cooper wanted. Again, 4 parachutes and a flight path actually similar to Cooper's. Low altitude, landing gear down.
Yeah.
Once he received the money, McCoy's parachuted out somewhere over Utah, I think it was, and just like Cooper had done. Obviously, when they captured him and arrested him, he was caught 2 days later. By the way,
yeah,
he traced the instructions because the instructions he actually apparently typed in a typewriting class.
Okay.
His fingerprints were found in an in-flight magazine, and one of the this is the best part. One of his friends turned him in after recognizing his sketch. So obviously, after they searched the property, they found his jumpsuit, parachutes, and ransom money. So,
well, the thing is with that one is all of the staff of the plane could identify him.
Yeah, that's a good point actually.
So that's the only because this is only, would you say well, they would have found him pretty soon after.
5 months, mate. 5 months after the Cooper one, and I think 2 days they found him. Yeah.
So this is 5 months later. All of the staff of the plane would be available to identify him as a suspect. So it is a very similar case, and maybe it's someone he knew.
Hmm.
Like, oh, this could work, but I could do it better, kind of thing. But then again, if it's like a highly publicized case, like, oh,
Oh,
this
it
guy did
was.
this
Yeah.
and we caught him, then it's probably just in the news, and this is like DB Cooper's and a copycat of that. Um, which, I mean, if it works, it works, doesn't it? Like,
I was gonna say, yeah. I mean, if you're gonna copy any crime, do one that worked. You know what
yeah,
I
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
mean?
If you
um,
think you can do it better, then go for it.
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, yeah. I mean, 500 grand, doubled in the money. He had parachute experience, so I think he was confident, but I don't think he guaranteed on people, ratting him out.
No.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, a similar second
So I'll
suspect
rule him
was
out just based on identity.
okay, fine.
Yeah.
A second suspect was Kenneth Christensen. He was a flight attendant.
Okay.
He was actually working with Northwest Orient Airlines, the same airline Cooper hijacked. He had a military background. He served in the U.S. Army as a paratrooper in World War II. He lived in Washington itself. He was quiet. He was a chain smoker, just like Cooper. He was very disciplined. Obviously, military background. I often recognize people as very disciplined.
Mm.
Um, you know, this one holds a little bit of weight. He knew the airline's procedures, schedules. The layouts of the aircrafts. He knew that he would need to have been a Boeing 727. He had access to company materials. He was trained as a paratrooper in an army. He had obviously skills for surviving the jump and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He would know how to land safely in rough terrain. And apparently, he was very suspicious after the hijacking. So, before the hijacking, he was living modestly, as a flight attendant. After 1971, however, he suddenly had a lot of money.
Right.
Apparently, he bought a house in cash shortly after the crime. He started buying property and land despite his low salary, and apparently he left $200,000 in savings behind before when he died. Apparently, now in 1994, before dying of cancer, he told his brother apparently that there is something you should know, but I cannot tell you. Some believe this was a deathbed confession about being DB Cooper,
Yeah.
but he never outright said it. Apparently, there was a physical resemblance of Cooper on the FBI sketch.
Yeah.
He was about 5'10" as well. He had a slim build, and flight attendants who saw Cooper said Christensen looked very similar. I feel like
He fits the like the description and the character.
yeah, I mean, he worked for the airline. He had parachute training. He suddenly got rich. And obviously he possibly confessed. Now, the FBI dismissed him as a suspect in 2004, saying that there was no strong evidence.
Hmm.
However, they've never fully explained why he was eliminated. So I just thought they went, yeah, can't have done it.
Weird.
Because apparently he was 5'8", while Cooper was estimated to be about 5'10" or 6 foot. So I think the FBI looked at him and went, nah, too short.
Okay. I mean, like, yeah. I don't, I don't know what to say to that. Like,
What do you think on that one? I'm curious. Because to me, it seems. I think, to me, I like number one more than this one. But I can't explain where their money came from after the hijacking.
yeah. And for him to like, I don't know. He didn't outright confess it though. And I
No, he
feel
just said,
like,
I've got something to tell you, but I cannot say.
so what's the point?
Yeah, I just think to myself, like, why has he said something then?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. He fits the criteria. When did he die?
1994.
Okay. How old was he, sir?
Uh, I don't know that. I didn't write that down. 1 second, let me Google it.
Sorry.
Yeah, so he was born 1926, and he died 1994, age 68.
Okay, yeah, that's
Mr.
alright.
Kenneth Christensen.
So yeah,
He lived 20 odd years, yeah.
yeah, so that was 20 years later. I I don't know. I don't think you can rule someone out based on their height like that.
No.
Because you can only base height on how high you are, and this is the flight attendants. So I mean, I don't want to, I don't want to become a sexist man, but but women are typically shorter than men.
They are, yeah.
So they can only go, he is taller than me. That's literally all you could do. Like unless you're like really familiar with how tall people look, or he may have even just had like raised shoes, like.
Yeah, because if I'm not wrong, dress shoes or kind of like suit shoes do raise you up like half an inch or possibly even an inch, depending on the back heel of them. So yeah.
So and if he was 5'8", right?
Christensen was 5'8", yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't think you can rule him out for that reason. Like, yeah.
FBI have never publicly been open about why they ruled him out. They just kind of said, "Well, no, we're ruling him out," but they've never really specified as to why.
Weird.
According to my research, anyway.
He paid them off.
Yeah. I've seriously got $200,000.
If I give you guys $200,000, will you leave me alone?
Yeah, you've caught me, but here's a backhander.
Yeah. Yeah.
So are you ruling him out then, or?
No, I reckon it was him. It sounds like it's him. But we'll keep going. We'll see.
You think it was Rackshaw? Okay.
Who's next on my lineup?
Sorry, you think it was Christensen? Next up, sorry, is Robert Rackshaw.
Is Rackshaw? Oh, right.
We're about to tell you who Rackshaw is.
Okay.
So, Robert Rackshaw was born in 1943. He died in 2019, age 75. He was a US Army veteran, served in Vietnam as a helicopter pilot. He had extensive parachute experience. Apparently, he was trained in the airborne operations. He was highly intelligent with skills in electronics, aviation, and cryptography. He had a criminal history, including fraud and fake identities. So, he was a decorated US Army paratrooper who knew how to jump out of planes.
Yeah.
He had experience at high altitude jumps, making him one of the few suspects truly capable of surviving Cooper's escape. He had a physical resemblance to Cooper. Apparently, he closely resembled the FBI sketch of D.B. Cooper, especially in his younger years. His height and weight matched the descriptions given by flight attendants.
Okay.
In 1978, when questioned about being Cooper, he smirked and said, "I could be." Apparently, in later interviews, he never denied it outright, saying things like, "There's no way anyone will find out, and maybe I'm him, maybe I'm not." So he's being very elusive around there.
I feel like he's enjoying it, though. I think he just likes the attention. I don't feel like it's him.
However, alleged hidden messages in Cooper's letter. So in 2018, a team of investigators claimed that they decoded a secret message in letter of D.B. Cooper sent to the press in 1971. A hidden message allegedly contained Rackshaw's military units and name initials. Some believe this proves Rackshaw was taunting the FBI after the hijacking. His criminal background and use of fake identities as well. So obviously after leaving the military, Rackshaw became apparently a con artist. He was arrested multiple times for fraud, identity theft, and fake documents. Skills that potentially could have helped him. Apparently he was also 28 in 1971. Witnesses described Cooper as being mid-40s. However, possible, he could have disguised himself to look older. But as always,
it sounds like because he's being caught for like petty crimes. He doesn't sound like the criminal mastermind. I think someone's just accused him of it, and now he's just running along with it. He's just like, yeah, actually, I'm going to be D.B. Cooper now.
Yeah.
I think he just likes the attention.
Oh, 100%. Now, they made reference to a letter there. Now, I am going to go through those at the end, just so because that's the last bit of letters.
What are these letters?
I'll go through that at the end, because I think they kind of a good ending point to get your final thoughts on it. But apparently in 1979, he was ruled out of robbing it. Apparently, the FBI claimed there was no direct evidence linking him to the crime and officially cleared him of any connection to the hijacking. He died in 2019, age of 75. Again, never admitting to being it. And in his final interview, he said, "I'm not saying yes, I'm not saying no." So that's the last we hear of Mr. Rackshaw. What's your thoughts on him potentially being Mr. D.B. Cooper?
Yeah, I think just like what I said. I think I think someone asked him if he was, and then he's just gone along on a press run about it. He just liked the attention. I don't think it was him. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, because like you said, he was definitely having fun with the questions. Like, oh, it could be, you know. How am
Yeah.
I? Ooh, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't.
I think it's one
I
of
think he's
those.
like
Yeah.
teasing them, knowing that it's not him. Like, yeah.
Okay.
So there's actually no living suspects now.
Well, that is something. Well, no, it was 70. It was 71. I mean,
Yeah,
possibly.
I guess if he
Over a
was mid
thousand.
forties, then yeah, he'd be like in his 80s now, wouldn't
Yeah, 86 or something like
he?
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there is one more theory.
Hmm.
Lynn Doyle Cooper. Lynn Doyle Cooper, often referred to as L.D. Cooper, is lesser known but intriguing, in my opinion, in the D.B. Cooper case. His
Okay.
own niece accused him of being the infamous hijacker, based on a family secret she uncovered years after the crime. So, why do people think he was D.B. Cooper, her niece, or her uncle? In 2011, Marla Cooper went public with claims that her uncle, D.B. Cooper, she said that as a child, she overheard him and another uncle plotting something big right before Thanksgiving in 1971. According to her, the uncles left for a turkey hunting trip, but when they returned, he was injured and covered in blood.
Oh.
Um, According to her, he was tall, thin, middle-aged, similar to the FBI sketch. He smoked cigarettes. He loved wearing clip-on ties. His her first name was Lynn Doyle Cooper, which some theories believe that could explain why the hijack used the alias Dan Cooper.
Hmm.
Maria Cooper, claimed that her family never spoke to him after 1971. They acted suspicious whenever she, spoke to him. He believes that she believes they knew he was DB Cooper, but didn't want her to get involved in anything really of it. So the FBI obviously cleared him. There was no evidence, no direct link to the hijacking. And in 2011, after analysing her story, they ruled him out, saying there was no credible link to the hijacking.
Yeah.
They believe that her story was just like a family misunderstanding or exaggeration. But the reason I picked this one is because it's a very it's got the last name for me. It's like DB Cooper, LD Cooper. It just kind of it it. It's like I'm reaching for that,
Yeah.
but it just
For someone who's quite um, who's like this mastermind, I don't think he'd slip up like that. I mean that's
yeah.
quite a rookie error.
It was intriguing that like the physical
um,
resemblance, the family secrecy, and in her story, it's kind of
it might even be like someone close to him, just like pinning it on him in that way. Um, like using it as like a like you said before, like just as a
yeah.
throwaway, like just lead the investigators elsewhere. Like whereas his name is not DB Cooper.
No.
Like the actual DB Cooper isn't DB Cooper. Like he wouldn't use his real name.
Funnily
Um,
enough, you're actually correct because the name DP Cooper is actually a mistake. The
okay.
media misreported the alias, which was originally just Dan Cooper on the ticket. I'll send you a picture of the ticket in a minute.
Okay.
I have that as well. But yeah, no, the media went, oh, we'll just call him that.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
there was obviously a composite sketch made as well, which I'll send you that in a minute.
All right.
However, the case as of today, the FBI officially closed this case back in 2016, citing a lack of evidence. However, amateur sleuths, retired FBI agents, and independent investigators continue searching, for evidence and stuff like that. DB Cooper still remains unidentified, and his fate after jumping is one of the greatest mysteries, really, in ever. And to be honest with you, I've read about this case multiple times. I've watched multiple YouTube videos of it. This is one of the cases that kind of drew me into the whole mystery genre, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, I'll always have the question, did he survive, or did he live out the rest of his life, in relative secrecy, or did he die? The truth does remain unknown.
It's mad. Yeah, it's almost like he
It's
didn't even want the
certainly,
money, like
yeah,
because he
it's
wouldn't be able
it's,
to
it's
use
more
it.
just the story, isn't
Yeah,
it? Like,
yeah,
um, but for me, it's one of the most intriguing stories. It's captivating, I think, because I want to know, but then I'll never know. Um,
hmm.
Certainly, as the years clock on, the potential that he's alive diminishes with every year. He's up in his 80s now, late 80s probably. So it's very
Yeah,
much less and less. But also, on the other hand, it could be more and more. He could, on his deathbed, he could say, "Actually, you know what? I did it. Screw you. I'm peace out."
peace out.
I mean, that's a boss way to go out, isn't it? I'm DB Cooper.
Yeah,
Right. Here's
yeah,
the
that's
evidence. Like, here's the $100,000 left, and I just left rot in a corner somewhere because I didn't want the money. Like, and yeah, because they couldn't have used it
yeah.
as well.
You
Like,
can't. Yeah, like it's. I think it's just like I don't know. Yeah, it's just like something to do. Like,
it's not like gold where you can melt it down, make it something completely different, and then no one can tell.
like he just wanted to become like a legend almost,
And he's done that
rather than
successfully.
rich.
He's
Yeah.
done that perfectly, in my opinion.
Mm.
Now, referenced the letters a minute ago. I'll go through them now. So the were allegedly sent by DP Cooper. So after the infamous hijacking, several letters were reportedly sent to newspapers claiming to be from himself. These letters remain strange, as the FBI never officially confirmed their authenticity.
Mm.
Some of them were mailed shortly after the hijacking in 71 and early 72. Now, the first letter they received was on November 29th, 1971. And it was received in a newspaper in Portland 5 days after the hijacking. And it was typed, on a typewriter and signed DB Cooper, even though the real alias used in the airline ticket was Dan Cooper. So it's either he decided to make it DB Cooper, or
Oh, okay.
it was. See, my thoughts on this is if it was from the real person, he would sign it Dan Cooper because the media made a mistake and no one else knew that.
Yeah.
But the letter reads as follows. So, I knew from the start I wouldn't get caught. I didn't rob Northwest Orient because I thought it would be romantic, heroic, or any other euphemisms that seem to attract themselves to a situation of high risk. I'm no modern day Robin Hood. Unfortunately, I do have only 14 months to live. My life has been made of hate, turmoil, hunger, and more hate. This seemed to have been the fastest and most profitable way to gain a few fast grains of peace of mind. I don't blame people for hating me for what I have done, nor do I blame anybody for wanting me to be caught and punished, though this can never happen. Here are some, not all, of the things working against authorities. I am not a boasting man. I left no fingerprints. I wore a toupee. I wore putty makeup. That could add or subtract from the composite of 100 times, and not come up with an accurate description. And we both know it. I've come and gone several airline flights already, and I'm not held up in some obscure backwoods town. Neither am I a psychopathic killer. As a matter of fact, I've never even received a speeding ticket. Thank you for your attention. So that was the letter in full, and then he signed it DB Cooper. Now, some people believe it to be fake because it was signed, like I said, DB Cooper.
Yeah.
And they claim he had 40 months to live, gives theories that he was terminally ill and had nothing to lose, which feeds back to one of the suspects who died about 2 years after.
Yeah.
I think it was the second one, wasn't it? I can't remember exactly.
It was the first suspect.
First suspect, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that kind of leads a little bit onto it that it very much could have been Richard Floyd McCoy, but
Yeah, he wouldn't sign it. Like he said, he wouldn't sign it that because that's not his
yeah.
name.
So
It also
2 days.
Sorry, it also rules out that that's a plant as well. Like I said before, like with the money, like it could just be another ploy by the FBI to like try and if you make like a fake note, maybe the real one might contact them. But then also they
Yeah,
would know the name too. So yeah.
very true. Yeah, you're not wrong. So, December 1st, 1971, exactly 2 days after the first letter, the Seattle Times received one. It was written in a ransom-style cutout letters from magazine.
Right.
It simply read, "D.B. Cooper is not dead. He is alive and just fine." Um, Again, I'm gonna be honest with you, mate. That just seems like someone having a laugh.
Yeah, Charles could have written that. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So letter three, sent to the Reno Evening Gazette, now the Reno Gazette Journal, it contained handwritten notes from a signed D.B. Cooper again. Um, Although I couldn't find them. There's just a record of them. I couldn't find what they said.
Oh.
But I thought it was poignant that, 10 days after the magazine one, that one was sent. And finally, March 1972, the FBI Vault letter. So this letter was declassified in the FBI case files. It was mailed from Jackson, Mississippi to Portland, Oregon, and it simply read, "I knew it from the start I wouldn't be caught. I didn't rob Northwest Orient because I thought it would be romantic, heroic, or any other euphemisms that seem to attract themselves to situations of high risk. I'm no modern-day Robin Hood, unfortunately. I do only have 14 months to live." Again, it seems like a copycat letter because it is very much similar to what it said on the first letter.
Yeah.
In fact, I think it's word for word. So it's either come from the right person or same person, or they've seen it and then just sent it again, like the top little part.
Yeah.
Now,
Weird.
the FBI never conclusively linked any letters to the real hijacker. The composite sketches and handwriting analysis did not match any suspects. The 14 months to live claim could have been misdirection. And again, many people have speculated that these letters were hoaxes, written by pranksters or people seeking attention.
Yeah.
But it adds to the mystery, the letters, but unfortunately, they don't provide any definitive clues about his identity. I feel as if it possibly could have been one of the four suspects we spoke about today, but like I said, they interviewed thousands. These were just the four that kind of jumped out at me.
Yeah.
Um,
Mad.
I don't think we'll ever know,
No.
but we'll never know his true motivations, or whether he wrote these letters just to have a bit of fun before he died, or if he was dying in 14 months. But yeah, it's America's most talked about heist.
Yeah. That's mad. Yeah, it's I don't know, it's almost, yeah, like I said before, like he wanted to just be a legend. He didn't want the money. And if he only had like a certain amount of time left to live, then yeah, why not go out as a legend? He didn't want to be he didn't want to be a typical criminal. He was just like I said, he was polite. He didn't kill anyone. Like, is this a sketch?
Yeah, so that is on the left-hand side. That is a sketch of D.B. Cooper, the man who hijacked Boeing plane 1971, with and without glasses. So now I'm going to show you. This was Richard McCoy.
Which one was Richard McCoy? Sorry.
What do you mean, which one? This isn't the bottom under the name.
Yeah, no, sorry. I mean, which suspect?
McCoy was the Vietnam veteran who hijacked a plane in 1972, similar to the way that Cooper did it.
Oh, okay, all right.
On the right-hand side, without pictures, without glasses, and look at the bottom one. There's similar face structure.
If you squint close enough, you might see Jesus.
If you squint, you're guilty. If you don't, you're off.
Nah. Well, there we go. Anything else to wrap up the episode?
I just think that.
Who do you think it is?
I like him, actually. I like McCoy for it, but I also like the second suspect.
Yeah.
I like Kenneth Christensen, the employee of Northwest Airlines. I like McCoy and I like Christensen for it. The other two, Rackshaw and Cooper, it's one of those things.
Yeah.
We'll never know, but by God, it is a story that growing up I absolutely adored watching, and anytime there was a documentary on it, I'd watch it.
Yeah. I reckon one day the money will be found, but it won't.
Well,
it won't lead to anything.
like I said with this with him, mate, the money is only going to get more deteriorated. Like it was found in '82,
Yeah.
and look at the state of it.
It won't
Like
be. It's not. I don't think it's even currency anymore, is it? I don't think you can use.
I don't think so. No.
No. Um,
Next up, auction lot 56,
yeah.
a bag of washed money.
Yeah.
Some auction somewhere in some back western town. Some this is prop money.
Yeah. Yeah. All the serial numbers have been smudged out.
Yeah.
No.
But anyway, thanks for joining me as always on this week's podcast.
It's been a pleasure.
Always is, mate.
What do you
Next
mean the
week
audience?
is obviously no, I meant you.
Oh, hey. Uh, Thank you to the audience for sticking with us.
Yeah,
As well.
thanks to the audience also
Yeah.
for coming along. As always, leave your thoughts in the comments like you do.
Yeah.
We will check them out, take them on board, and if there's anything we missed, we will update you next time. It's Danny's turn next week. Any idea what we're doing?
Next week will be our quarterly review.
Oh,
Yeah. So I want to talk about our lives for the last 3 months, but
Okay.
also we'll go over the podcast as well. Yeah. There's a few,
Okay.
there's a few comments that we can address, and
Okay.
yeah, some corrections maybe. Talk about what we like, what was our favorite episode. Yeah, just an over analysis, I guess, of the last 3 months. How it's been going.
Well, sounds good. Make sure you guys tune in next week. See ya.
So yeah, bye.